It's heavy hitter time. Cosmo Macero Jr. Associate, Peter Kadgis of the Boston Phoenix. And gentlemen, let's talk about America's favorite reality show, at least the new one, the Sarah Palin Chronicles. And let's talk about a future heavy hitter of course, Bristol Palin, and the newest member of maybe America's favorite family. You guys haven't even waited on the pick. We'll get to that in a second. First, let's talk about Babygate.
Yeah, there's an old sports cliche about a flare-up in the locker room creates a distraction. And that's what this is. It's a distraction because it has touched off all kinds of side debates and discussions that have nothing to do with helping McCain become president, which is the point to begin with. And that's where I think this has come down to. It's a real distraction, and all the bounce they hope to get out of it has been interrupted by America's favorite reality show, as you so aptly put it.
They were looking for a bounce, but not a baby bounce, Peter, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, well, I suppose, they're in, the Palin family's in compliance with 50% of the Republican platform. Obviously, they're pro-life, but they're a little weak on the
it's a
just
good thing
say
you explain
no.
that, because you weren't following them, Cosmo.
I think these are extended family values, right?
Yes,
Yeah, they're a little weak on the no teen sex, though. But listen, this whole thing is a sideshow. It's sort of like Clarence Thomas. Remember the big brouhaha about the Supreme Court justice? Fact of the matter is, Clarence Thomas was a lousy pick for the Supreme Court, unqualified for the position before the scandal broke. I'd say the same as with Palin.
Why?
Why? Look at, she was mayor of a town that's smaller than Alston-Brighton. Alaska has about the same number of people as Boston. She's been governor of that state for 18 months. No offense to the mayor, but no one's suggesting Tom Menino for president.
I'm going to disagree hardly here, because by default, I'm of the opinion that if you're a governor of one of the 50 states, you're automatically, however you got there, one of the 50 most qualified candidates for president, just because you've got that executive decision-making. And as far as the pick, overall,
remember the party thought Howard Dean was qualified. He was governor of a state that was smaller than Alaska.
And if they don't, governors become presidents, and if they don't, they certainly are presidential candidates. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. There's certainly some sense to be made here for having a woman on the ticket. One of the issues that we talked about was, well, who's out there? And I think this illustrates that a bit. But, understandably, McCain, the Maverick, wanted to bring back that Maverick element to his campaign, and that's what he tried to do.
Let me ask Cosmo a question. Your point about a governor being an instant candidate is well taken, but the governor of a small state for 18 months?
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't the time in office serve for something? Why not pick Mitt Romney, who was even...
Again, that gets back to the Obama qualifications, but let's move past
this. This must mean McCain really doesn't like Mitt Romney, by the way.
Well, I don't think that's deniable, is it, at this
No,
point?
Look, I agree, and I was an advocate for Mitt Romney from the beginning. I thought he would be terrific. But, after that Democratic convention, you knew that a woman was in the mix here for the Republican Party. The problem was, who do you pick? And I think this illustrates
but let's face
that.
it, the Romney family reality show would get canceled after one episode. Boring! This is bringing the noise. This is selling newspapers. That's what we want out of a political campaign, isn't it?
Who ate all the Frosted Flakes? For crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly. Who didn't put the lid back on the milk before they put it in the fridge? Here's the exit question. If McCain could call a mulligan, if he could pull a McMulligan, would he not pick her if he had it to do, if he could turn back the clock?
He would never admit to that for sure. I think it's still actually too early to say whether that happens, because it's a distraction right now, but this all could even out in the next couple of weeks.
Doesn't her convention speech set up to be an absolute home run? I mean, she talks about this stuff. She talks about the tough part of having, such a big family and trying to make it work. This could be a knockout.
flip this to Peter, but let me just say, it's an absolute must that she delivers. I mean, she has to just hit it out of the park. She talked about her husband being a snowmobile racer. I mean, she's got to...
As opposed to Michelle Obama's speech?
She's got to hit it out of the park.
I think this introduces another hidden issue. Just as I don't think all Americans say what they think about race, I think this gender issue, is a very tricky one. And I'm not sure everyone, men or women, will say publicly what they really think about this situation.
In other words, a lot of women are secretly judging her and are going to start ripping her.
I don't know. I just wonder. I think that all of a sudden there's another unknown quantity.
Well, men certainly will talk about men in a way that is not subtle. I will talk about President Bush here. We find out that although Gustav was not the storm that we thought, it looked like it had canceled Bush at the RNC, and all the Republicans were happy. No, now Bush wants to video phone an appearance in. Is there someone in the McCain campaign that has to step up and say, George, apparently you're not getting it. You're not helping.
Yeah. Hey, if you're the president, you're the standard bearer for your party. I think he has to have a role there. I think the party did a very good job in navigating, excuse the pun, with this hurricane and managing that. And now it's time to get down to business because it looks like we're going to be okay down in Louisiana.
Trying to avoid Bush is going to be pretty difficult. I'm not so sure this hurricane didn't do the Republicans a favor. I mean, these conventions are pretty hard to get people all pumped up for.
Either of you want to say Bush should not be appearing at this thing because he's not helpful?
I disagree. The convention.
Oh, that's why I want Bush to appear. To remind people what a rotten job he's done.
Televised or not, the convention is not really about getting that independent vote. And so I think he has the role there and energizing the base, and you can't not have.
Quickly, we're short on time, but I know you're all fired up for the season opener of the Pats. Question is this: A, is Brady going to play? B, are you getting a little tired of the we just won't know until Friday? I mean, he's playing. Why can't Belichick just tell us he's playing?
I think Brady will play. And, hey, you know what? That's the way the Patriots do things.
Enough already.
It's the way they do things. If you're not used to it, you're not used to it. I mean,
call it Belichick's bubble. He's created this little fantasy world he lives in. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Peter Kadges of the Boston Phoenix, Cosmo Macero of O'Neill & Associates. They are the heavy hitters.